To continue with your tickets sold exercise then, your instructions tell you that in order to use the subtotal function, you're going to have to first sort the data in salesperson order. So I was on the home menu, and I think earlier I misspoke. I called it the data menu. This is the home menu. And what we need to do is identify, by making a selection, the salesperson column. We do not include the heading because we only want the names sorted. And we're also going to want to sort the date sold, the destination, and the ticket sold. So first of all, and you can do this a number of ways. First of all, I always select the area that I want sorted by. So on the Home ribbon, we're going to select Sort and Filter, Sort A to Z, and notice that you've gotten a warning. If we don't expand the selection, then the salesperson and the date sold, destination, and ticket sold are not going to remain a record. In other words, they won't stay together. And obviously, each one of these rows of data is a record, and we want it to be a contiguous record so that our data processing into information will be correct. So we've now sorted it, and you'll notice that everything else sorted too. We sorted by salesperson, and each record stayed together. So we have correct data here. The next thing that you need to do is identify the entire table that we want to be subtotaled. Now, if you'll notice at the bottom, we have total, most tickets, least tickets, and average. But before we can take those, we need to get our subtotals. Now, in an imperfect world, you would have to insert a line after every salesperson's name and insert the sum function to add up the number of tickets that they sold. Then you would have to do some major operations down here on the total lines. This is not the correct way to get a subtotal, and you won't get credit for it if you do it that way, because on the Data tab, we have this handy subtotal function. All right, it totals several rows of related data by automatically inserting subtotals and totals for the selected cells. So, you can tell whether a worksheet has been subtotaled using the subtotal function or by doing it manually. Don't ever do anything manually in Excel that Excel can do for you, because we use cell addresses. If we use cell addresses to do our formatting, our calculations, our subtotaling, whatever, we can always make a change to that cell and have Excel automatically update the data across any number of worksheets. So it's very important that you use the functions correctly, especially when you get into worksheets that may have hundreds of thousands of rows of data. So to start using the subtotal function, the first thing we did is we sorted by salesperson, then we selected the entire area that is going to be subtotaled. Then on the Data tab, we select Subtotal. Notice, for each change in salesperson, we want a sum of tickets sold. You'll notice that it says replace current subtotals. We don't have any. And we're going to summarize below the data. So this one is correct. Every time salesperson changes, we've got it sorted in order, insert a row, and subtotal my ticket sales. So that's what it looks like. All right, we have a total for Andrew, and you'll notice the subtotal function looks different, if you'll see, than the sum function. Now this is an example. Don't do this in your own worksheet. But if I entered the sum function here and told it to add up those cells, the cell range D3 through D7, I'm going to get the same value. Agreed? However, here I am told that I have reference cells, and I also have the function number. Notice below that I have a function number and then the cells on which I want to operate. The function number, if you'll click on it and let the help screen come up, is going to tell you what those functions stand for. So you'll notice when I type in the subtotal function that it's asking me for the function number and then the reference cells. There are 11 function numbers that you can use in the subtotal function. And you'll notice that the subtotal function number 9 is the representation for sum. Then we're going to identify the reference cells. The reference cells are simply the range of data that we want the operation to be performed on. So you'll notice that function 9 is for subtotals, and we get the sum, sorry, and we get exactly the same answer. So this did this for us all the way through the entire worksheet. Notice too that we got a grand total here, and that we have these the minimize, where we can go to nothing more than the totals by just selecting minimize. So if we want to look at just the summary data, we can, or if we want to look at the detailed data as well, we can also do that.